affects our sleep, our digestion, our energy. So it affects everything because our cells in our body follow this internal clock.
Are you in sync with your internal clock? Did you even know that that can affect your health or even your results? More about that on today's episode. Hi and welcome to today's competence video with us at Goat Sports. My name is Adrian GSCV and together with me is my colleague, Coach Martin. So Martin, today we're going to talk about circadian rhythm. Can you explain a little bit what that is?
So the body has an internal clock that goes after, you can say, the sun and the nature outside of us. So for example, when we wake up, we go and see the sunlight, things start happening in our body. For example, cortisol starts releasing. That's a hormone that gives us energy to go out and do stuff in our day, and so on. Things happen, and this follows our internal clock that's called the circadian rhythm.
So how much can that affect our health or even our results in the gym?
So it can affect, of course, a lot, because this affects our sleep, our digestion, our energy. So it affects everything because our cells in our body follow this internal clock.
So, well, if you can picture this like traffic lights.
Yes.
All of our cells follow, of course, the flow of traffic. So some cells work when it's green, others pause when it's red, and so on. And then we have this master clock, which is then called the circadian rhythm, and it's just about a 24-hour clock. Is it just like that, you know, on clockwork it ticks, and therefore we need to wake up a certain time and sleep a certain time? Like, is it that like black and white?
No, it's not that black and white. Our body is more like a predictor. So let's say I wake up at 7 a.m., I go out and see the sun for a couple of days. My body starts to predict, okay, so I'm waking up at 7, now it's time to release cortisol, it's time to start waking up. And let's say at about 12, I start eating lunch. And I do this for a couple of times. Our body's gonna realize, okay, so this person's going to bed at 10 p.m. Okay, it's time to start releasing hormones, so to preparing this person to fall asleep. But if you're going to bed at 10 p.m., then the next day, 2 a.m., you're starting to mess up this internal clock. So your body is more of a predictor.
I like the way you formulated it with predicting what's happening, because that means that, like, if we will take a chewing gum, our body will predict that we're getting food. But if we don't have a meal to that, then the body's system is gonna go, wait a minute, there's no food, what are we gonna do? And then a new process starts. Same thing like when we stay up late or have bright lights too late at night, our body maybe predicts that it's starting to be light outside and we need those. So that's what happens when our rhythm kind of gets out of whack.
Exactly. So let's say you are up later than usual, it's still a good thing to go wake up at the same time they usually do. So if you're up to 2 a.m., you should still wake up at about the same time that you wake up at, let's say, 7 a.m.
All right, so, well, a lot of people, they might not even know that they're out of sync because it's so many things that can happen.
Yeah.
You can get memory loss, you can have loss of energy, you can have problem with your digestive system, exactly. And then even some hormonal or cellular things could happen that it's really hard to interpret. So maybe a few tips of what a person could do to kind of reset that clock.
Yeah, so we said a couple of things. One is to wake up at the same time, and the other one is try to eat your meals at the same times each day. So if you're eating breakfast at that time, lunch at that time, dinner at that time, try to keep that cycle and that schedule. Do you have a couple of tips?
Well, one of the bigger ones that I've found out, it's actually being out in natural light. Our body adapts the best to it, and it actually affects us the most because it's waking up and going to sleep. So when it's darker, the process starts of it's falling asleep, and then when it's brighter, it's waking up. So being outdoors more often than we actually have does a huge thing to reset the clock. So that was a little bit about circadian rhythm, and I think the most important thing to take with you guys is that we have an internal clock, and that can be affected by a lot of things. So even though you got a lot of tips from us, try to maybe add one of those things and see how it feels, because it's always how we perform, how we recover, that actually makes the most sense. So use that, try it, and see what can help. So thank you so much for joining us on our competence videos. We'll see you guys again next week, and until then, take care.